Once upon a time in ancient Greece, there was a girl. Not a woman, a girl. And she was the most beautiful girl in the world. She was so beautiful that all the men started admiring her instead of admiring the goddess of beauty, Aphrodite, at her shrine. And of course, because all the men started admiring Psyche, this made Aphrodite jealous. Because none of the men were praying to her anymore. They weren't going to her shrine. So Aphrodite sent her son Eros to make Psyche fall in love with the vilest, the ugliest, the most despicable creature they could find. But when Eros looked at Psyche, he could not help but feel his own heart get pierced by one of his arrows. So he left Psyche alone. And on Psyche's part, even though all the men admired her, she ultimately felt very lonely. Because no man wanted to marry her. No man loved her. They just admired her. But none of them loved her. Because they would just go back to their wives or go back home and marry some other girl. So ultimately, she was lonely. Lonely to the part that her two sisters, which were definitely not even close to as beautiful as her, got married before her. And because of this very sad dilemma, her family started becoming really worried about Psyche not being able to be married to anyone. So her family went to the Oracle of Delphi for an answer, because they can't let her daughter be forever single. Okay, but maybe they can. And then the Oracle of Delphi said, your daughter will marry the vilest, the ugliest, half snake, half man creature you have ever seen. And this is her destiny. You shall leave her under a mountain. And this is where that snake monster will come and pick her up. So her family was like, oh, well, if that's her destiny, okay, let's go. Psyche, we're gonna leave you under a mountain. And Psyche was like, oh, okay. Because, you know, she did want a man, even if it was the violence creature. But then, because her family left her, she was in very much pain. Very, very much pain. She was in a lot of pain, alright? But when she was kind of sleeping under that mountain, the winds of Zephyr carried her up to a valley over the mountains. And yes, the winds of Zephyr, like League of Legends. No, I mean winds of Zephyr, like strong winds. Obviously. No, well, that's how it ends. And when Psyche awoke, she was next to a castle. And from the castle, she heard a voice saying, do not be afraid. Come in and take a nice bath, and I will honor you to a dinner. And of course, she goes into the castle, no fear, because she knows that this is her new husband. But the things he did didn't seem like a monster. But maybe it was, who knows? So she does all that, she has the nicest bath. She actually had the nicest meal in her life too. But ultimately, her husband didn't let her see him This was like a one rule he had. And he wouldn't really tell much about himself. He would just listen to Psyche and answer on those things. And obviously never show himself. So ultimately, she got lonely again. And asked her husband, please, can my sisters come and visit me? And of course, this mad lad answers, no! Of course not! Are you dumb? No, of course he doesn't answer that, but he does say no. And after that, Psyche gets really sad and depressed. And after seeing Psyche's sad and depressed face, her husband says, okay, fine. I'll let your sisters come and visit. Ouch. That was not nice. So her sisters come and visit. And obviously, they are very, very, very jealous. They see her living in a palace, of all things. And because she tells that she can't see her husband because it's one of his rules, the sisters are like, we're so jealous, let's go manipulate our sister just because we can. So they go and say to Psyche, oh, your husband doesn't let you see him? So how do you know it's not that snake monster that would come and get you under that mountain? And ultimately, she had no answer. But, of course, her inner self, she knew that her husband couldn't have been a monster. He was so nice. But at night, the curiosity got the best of herself, so she concocted a plan. And her plan was, I will light a candle at night, go up to my husband's bed, and look at his face. So, and if he was a monster, I would kill him. And if he wasn't, I'll just go happily back to bed, knowing I have a loving husband. I don't know why she would kill him just if he was a snake monster, because he was super nice. I mean, it's kind of noble. If I knew my husband was a snake monster, unless he's hot, I'm gonna kill him too. But, you know, doesn't matter. So at night, he lit up a candle. He walked up to his bed, and what she saw was the most beautiful young man he's ever seen. It was crazy how beautiful he was. And of course, she was satisfied. And as about she was going back to bed, a droplet of wax fell off the candle and onto Eros's back. And yes, you now know, it is Eros, the beautiful man. And of course, he woke up in agony. And with his wings, he flew away, screaming, love cannot live without trust. Because he felt betrayed that his wife didn't trust him. And would just sneak up to him while he was sleeping. I mean, he probably knew that if he saw a monster that he would kill him. But yeah, he was heartbroken. And he locked himself in his celestial room for about forever. And of course, Psyche, she too was heartbroken. She was devastated. She was the one that shooed away her true love. And, you know, of course, after a few days of being absolutely depressed, she goes to the shrine of Aphrodite, where she goes to pray to Aphrodite, please persuade your son into taking me back. But Aphrodite answers, oh, hell no, because she's still very, very, very jealous of Psyche. But nah, she doesn't actually say that. She said, okay, if you complete these impossible tasks. And of course, she's like, what? What is the first task? Okay, sort these seeds by kind, but they all look the same. I don't care, do it. Somehow, she completes it. The next task, even crueler than the last, but somehow, she completes it. And after a few cruel tasks, every god starts gossiping about Aphrodite torturing this poor little girl. And of course, the gossip gets to Eros. And Eros, he's furious. He goes to his mother like, do not torture my wife. I cannot let you torture my wife. I love her. And of course, he's really mad at his mother and stuff. But, you know, they get... Because of that, obviously, Eros and Psyche get back together because they truly love each other. And they get married. And Zeus, giving the best marriage gift ever, he gifts Psyche immortality. Like, just casually, yeah, I'm gonna give you immortality. So, good luck. Now you can live forever with your husband, happy in the skies. And Aphrodite was not jealous no more, because all of the men on Earth forgot who Psyche was, because now she was living among the gods in the clouds. So everyone lived happily ever after. And that was the story of Eros and Psyche. And I have one more thing to say, and that is,